Hello, everybody, and welcome to 310 to Left. We are psyched that you are with us. I'm Alanna Rizzo. Of course, everybody knows World Series champion and current NESN and WEEI broadcaster Will Middlebrooks. Happy to be with you guys. Of course, we are brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Will, good to be with you, my friend. Let's start, unfortunately, with the Red Sox pitching depth. What does Richard Fitt's injury mean for the Sox rotation as they push toward the end of the season?
Well, I mean, somebody's got to step up, right? Somebody's going to have to likely come from AAA because Alex Cora said he refuses to yo-yo Buehler up and down from the bullpen and the rotation back and forth. That's how guys get hurt. Obviously, he's coming off in years ago, so that's a guy you don't want to mess with his arm. So it feels like he's staying in the bullpen in that role. I don't know how serious this injury is with Fitz. It's really confusing. Doing the broadcast, watching the game, he throws the pitch, he turns his arm over and looks at it. And Alanna, you've seen this so many times. You go, uh-oh, he felt something pop. He just blew out again. That's what everyone watching the game thought. So when the news came out that, all right, it's neuritis or whatever they want to call it, something with the nerve and not the tendon, which that sounds to me like it's great news. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how long this will last. I don't know what the recovery is. They've yet to give us a ton of information. I don't know if they have the information yet. But somebody's going to have to fill that role, whether it's Kyle Harrison, whether it's maybe Peyton Tolley, maybe it's which would be really exciting considering the prospect status and the numbers he's put up this year.
All right, let me tell you a little bit more about right arm neuritis, Will Middlebrooks.
Please,
it's often referred to as brachial neuritis. It's a condition characterized by inflammation of the brachial plexus nerves, leading to pain, weakness, and sensory changes in the arm. Of course it is. I know that you knew what that was. So what do you think? Assuming you know that it's because of the inflammation, it's because of the sensory changes in the arm leading to pain and weakness. I mean, that seems pretty serious. Not that I'm asking you to be a doctor, but what should we make about Cora's optimism of Fitt's return?
Well, I have had a lot of injuries, so I can kind of speak on that. I've had nerve inflammation. I live with permanent inflammation at this point in my life. I would say, well, anytime you hear inflammation, especially when it has to do with something around a nerve, it means rest. And when a pitcher has to rest, obviously he can't throw. If he can't throw, it kind of shuts him down for a bit, and then he has to build himself back up, which with less than 30 games left in a season, you don't feel like there's much time for him to get back. And if he does, it'll probably be in a shorter role, which could be in the bullpen down the stretch at the end of September. Cora did sound pretty optimistic. He did not seem very worried. Obviously, the training staff isn't either if they did not get imaging done, which is interesting. That's weird because I feel like this is something you kind of want to go see. You want to see how bad the inflammation is. They probably just give it a couple of days, see how he bounces back. If it remains that sore, then they will get imaging done.
How do you think Jovani Morán fits into the roster right now? And can he contribute meaningfully after a shaky first stint with Boston? I think you're asking a lot from a guy that he can't just walk right into that rotation, specifically with 30 games left in the season. Realistically, though, what could his role be?
I think his role is, he's pitched in 2 games. Each of those were 2 innings apiece. They were both in mop-up fashion for the most part. I mean, he's not going to be a high leverage arm. He's going to be expected to be in that role where the team is up 7-1, they're down 7-1, and which actually, excuse me, it's an important role on a team because you want to stay away from your main arms. You want to give them a day off. And we've seen this bite the Red Sox in the past with Jordan 7-2. He needs 3 outs. In Minnesota, he couldn't get the out, so Aroldis Chapman has to come in. Then the next day, you lose a close game because you can't bring Aroldis Chapman in the game. So those Jordan Hicks, even at this point in the season, Walker Buehler to cover innings more in bulk in that part of the bullpen are important roles because you do need your high leverage arms in important games in September.
Well, it's crazy to think about what you just said because Walker Buehler was supposed to be a high leverage arm, right? He was supposed to be a guy that was going to be a massive piece in your starting rotation. Now he's obviously in the bullpen, and now he's going to be asked to do those types of things, kind of that mop up role, garbage time in the NBA type of role. That's not a guy that has that mentality. Walker Buehler's a starter in his mind. So how do you think this plays out?
No, but the mentality he does have is a team first, and he's a hard worker. You know better than anyone with your time at the Dodgers with him, and he puts the team first. He's a competitor to win. He wants to do well in any role, and having these conversations with him, obviously you're let down and you're frustrated when that news hits. And he wasn't. He's been around the game long enough where he kind of saw the writing on the wall, right? He could kind of see it coming with the way his outings were going, and he wasn't reliable consistently in the rotation. At this point in the year, you just can't have that. So if he can contribute in any way, once you get initial frustration of the demotion essentially to the bullpen, I would say Walker turns this on and turns this into something he wants to be really good at, because he does still want to impact this team. He does still want to help out this ball club because that's just who he is. So I think he's going to be just fine out there. I don't think we're going to see him inning with a one-run game where it's a close game. I don't think that's going to be his role. His role will simply be what I just told you, is to cover 2 to 3 innings at a time, save those leverage arms, and that's a really important job in that bullpen.
Yeah, Walker Buehler, you're right, is team first. It's just so strange to see him coming out of the bullpen. Although we did see him, with the last out in the World Series back in 2024 for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So he'll do what it takes. But the Red Sox bullpen, Will, is a bullpen that has been heavily taxed. Many in the major leagues have, right? All 30 teams are hoping that they could get additional bullpen arms at this point, even though they can't. How do you think this plays out in terms of bullpen usage with Walker being in there, but also the Fitz injury and a bullpen that's already carried the load for the majority of the season?
Yeah, I mean, you get to this point and it's all around baseball, right? So you start rotating. It's a rotating door of like the middle relief and guys in the Morán, you thinking Criswell type, where at the bottom third of that bullpen, you can cycle guys through to cover innings as long as you can, just to save your main guys. Because Weissert, Wilson, Chapman, Bernardino, all these guys have 50 plus appearances, right? So you're looking at, and this is across baseball. It's not just the Red
Mm-hmm.
Sox. The Red Sox obviously have covered a lot of big innings and stressful innings, because there have been so many one-run games, which we've talked about to nauseum at this point in the season. But they're stressed, they're tired, they're fatigued. But you get to September where these games matter, especially at a place like Fenway Park. The adrenaline gets pumping. And once they get to October, it's like all those innings and everything disappear, and you start over because you have this fresh mindset. You have this new wave of adrenaline and emotion, and you're pitching on a different level once the postseason gets here. So I think these main guys are going to be and Breslow and Alex Cora and Andrew Bailey, this whole pitching structure, they have done a good job of taking care of these guys. And sometimes when Bernardino went down to AAA, he didn't pitch as often. He got
Yeah.
he got a breather down there. Weissert got a breather. Slayton is coming back, who has missed a significant amount of time. That's going to help, having a fresh arm there. We'll call it fresh arm because he hasn't been pitching every 2-3 days like a lot of these guys. So I think they're going to be just fine. And Chapman is such a beast. I mean, the work ethic is insane. He's built like a statue. There's a reason at 37 he's having the best year of his career.
I think Bernardino, I'm surprised he still has an arm, honestly. I mean, they have used him.
I mean, there was a month where they used him 16 times.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Insane. And he takes the ball every single time and never complains about it. What do you think in terms of a bulk opener role? Is that something, or a bulk reliever role? When you go from an opener to a bulk reliever, kind of like a Bernardino Fitz combo that we saw on Monday, or Fitz Bernardino. I mean, is that something realistic for this Red Sox team, or is it more of like, we're just hoping that every single starter gives you 5 and 6, and then you can kind of slot in the bullpen pieces as you want to?
Yeah, they've been really lucky with their top 3 rotation over the last 2.5 months, where they're basically giving you a quality start just about every time they roll out there. And then you're just having you're kind of a flip of a coin on Dustin May. What version are you going to get of him? We've seen both. So you just want him to give you a competitive outing where it gives you a chance to win, and you just hope your offense lines up against someone they can score some runs, and you go from there. I don't know if they're going to keep rolling with a bullpen game. I don't hate it. Honestly, yesterday was a perfect game for it, because Jackson Holliday and Gunnar Henderson, 2 lefties who are impact bats in that lineup in Baltimore. You bring a lefty in to face them in the first inning, and you look at any team record across baseball. When they score first, they're significantly better. The Red Sox are like 48 15 or something like that when they score first. Baltimore, really similar record when they score first. So keep them off the board, match up with the lefties, and then bring a bulk guy in after that. I don't mind it. It will take a toll on the bulk guy, and then you're down an arm if you can't option that guy in the bullpen. So that's where it can end up hurting you down the stretch.
Realistically, how many pitchers do the Sox put on their postseason roster? Are they carrying 13? Are they carrying 12? What are we doing?
I think they would carry, I would say 13. I think arms are so important at this point.
Yeah.
And the way Alex Cora, not just Alex Cora, across the game of baseball you've seen in this era of baseball, starters aren't facing guys, unless you're an elite starter, a Crochet, maybe Bayo. I think he's going into that role. I don't even know Giolito in the postseason if they're going to face a lineup 3 times. That's just that's baseball. If you can turn it over to leverage arms in the 6th, you do it. Maybe even the 5th, depending on if the top of the lineup is up or not. So the bullpen is very important. So the more the better, especially if you have impact arms, which at some point they could add someone from AAA, maybe a starter, maybe. I know Peyton Tolley is going to be a starting pitcher in his career, and he grades out to be a top-end starter. But at this point in his career, it's his first year of pro ball, all right? If you look at the history of how they take care of who they think are going to be aces or top-of-the-rotation guys, they come out of college, they have only thrown X amount of innings. He's at 91 innings right now. Normally, that number is around 100 for the first year pro ball starting pitchers. If that's the case, if you want to start to take care of him, maybe you see him pretty soon, maybe pitch out of the bullpen a little bit if they're considering using him in September in that role. That's not saying they think he's going to be a bullpen, but that's where he could impact this team right now.
Yeah, right now, what can you do for me lately? Speaking of that, Will Middlebrooks, Dustin May needs to become an impact arm for this team. That's what they were hoping that they were getting in terms of this trade. You've said we've seen both of what he can do. We need to see the better Dustin May. How does he get there?
Well, the stuff's there. The stuff's always been there. He's had freak injuries. He's had a lot of stuff go on over the last few years. The fastball velocity is down a little bit, which when that happens, you got to be better with command, right? You can't miss over the middle of the plate because you're not throwing 98, 99 anymore. When it's 95, even 96 now, which is crazy to talk about, but that's the era of baseball we're in where everybody throws gas. So he's got to be better. And they've worked on his pitch mix. We've seen the cutter, which he's throwing a lot more, which he's never really thrown. So he's still early in the transition process of where he's learning that new pitch. He's pitching differently now under this Red Sox pitching infrastructure, which is completely different from what they did with the Dodgers. So things are different. And when things are different, you're on the mound, you're thinking more than you're just doing. And that's never a good thing at this level. So he's still learning a couple things. I think he's going to be just fine. Like I said, he's at number 4. He's not expected to go out there and give you 6 shutout innings. He's expected to go out there and give you 6 innings, give up 3 runs, and just put you in a good spot to win a game.
Yeah, we always forget sometimes that these guys are people before they're players and they're human beings. And it's going to take a minute, to get acclimated, if you will, to being a Boston Red Sox. And hopefully he can do that before the postseason begins. Much more to come here on 310 to Left. Will Middlebrooks and I are talking next about Aroldis Chapman and Nathaniel Lowe's dominance when we come back on 310 to Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers.
310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford dealers who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
All right, welcome back to 310 to Left. We're happy that you guys are with us. Let's speak a little bit about the impact of Nathaniel Lowe. The first base position, Will Middlebrooks, for the Boston Red Sox seems to be a question for a number of years now. What's going to happen with first base? What's going to happen? Tristan Casas, the whole thing. There's a platoon, Toro, all the things, Romy Gonzalez. Okay, enter Nathaniel Lowe. Speak to the impact that he has had so far. Obviously, a veteran presence in that lineup and at first base.
Yeah, I mean, he's played 8 games, but in those 8 games, he's hitting about 350. And it's been clutch, too. And he's been off the bench. He's been, he won a Gold Glove a couple of years back. He won a Silver Slugger a couple of years back. Then he went to Washington. And I think he was a product of his environment. I really do. And I think it was a breath of fresh air for him. You hear change of scenery, right, for players and how it affects them. It's so important. And that's such a real thing. You get so stuck in that just negative mind where you're going to the field every day. You don't expect to win. The expectations are so low. You're a rebuilding ball club. And if you're a winning player, that is really going to wear on you in a negative way. And I think that showed in his numbers this season. But he came over to Boston, and the first thing he said was, it feels good to walk into a clubhouse where you expect to win every day. That's a real thing. And it showed in his play. It showed in his energy at the field. He's feeding off of the guys in there, the Bregmans, the Storys, the Roman Anthonys. And all of a sudden, he wants to be a part of this. And he is so far, and he's been a great addition.
I mean, it shows in his smile. I know that sounds contrite, but it's like he's happy. He's happy going to the ballpark again, which is what you saw with him when he was a member of the Texas Rangers. Will Middlebrooks, is Nathaniel Lowe the Red Sox starting first baseman next season?
That's a tough one, Alanna. That's so tough because, I mean, you got to look at the business side of it, too. He's making 10.3 this year. ARB eligible is third-year ARB. He's fourth-year ARB going into the offseason. So he'll likely see a bump. Even with the down year in numbers, you'll likely still see a bump to 11.5, 12 million for next year, which is doable. It's the Boston Red Sox. That's ashtray money, let's be honest. All right. Now, that's not the issue. The issue. It's, do they want to give Tristan Casas another chance? And that's going to be the tough one, just because he hasn't stayed healthy long enough to show that he can really impact this team. But it's tough to give up on a guy who you feel like is 30 home run potential and a pretty good defender. He doesn't have a ton of range, but he's good around the bag. He can pick up low throw. They have a big decision to make this offseason. And a lot of it's going to have to do with how is he bouncing back from this patellar tendon surgery where he completely blew out. That's a big-time surgery. It's basically treated like an ACL. So you got to see how he bounced back, how he's moving. But I would definitely say Nathaniel like Nate.
Yes, his mom doesn't like Nate. His mother does
mom
not.
likes Nathaniel, and I know he listens to 310 to left. So I need to say it correctly. He's definitely going to be in consideration. Now, how did the Red Sox handle this whole thing at first base? I think they handled it great. All things considered, they were dished out a terrible hand where your everyday guy blows out his knee. You think, okay, we're going to go with Romy Gonzalez. He's going to be our everyday guy. He's proven that he crushes lefties, but he's good enough against righties to play every day. Well, pretty quickly into that, collision at first base, quad bruise, thigh bruise, whatever, he's out. And turn to Abraham Toro. And I don't think at any point that was on anyone's bingo card for the 2025 Red Sox, that Abraham Toro was going to be your everyday first baseman, but he came up at the perfect time. And he was hot. And he's swinging the bat well. And he was serviceable at first base. He was never going to be a Gold Glover there. I mean, they didn't want that. They just wanted him to make the routine, scoop some out of the dirt here and there, be a good teammate, and hit 250. Well, he hit way better than that for a couple months. He had some clutch hits, some big hits late in games. He was a really good player for this team, and then the magic just ran out, which was inevitable at some point because he's not a superstar player. But he was very good for what this team needed. And then
Yeah. It's difficult too because you knew that he was doing everything he could to stay on the field. His defense improved. He was very, I understand. Clint Hurdle always used to say, "This is not the try hard league. This is the do league." But I do believe that Abraham
matters. It matters to your teammates and that type situation where you are a plug and play. You are a guy who came up from AAA. You probably weren't even expected to impact the big league team whatsoever this year, unless this situation happens. And that's why he was signed to the contract. Because things like this do happen through 162. So that does matter. When you're that guy and you come up and you bust your butt every day and you're proving to your teammates, I'm doing everything I can to get better, that goes a long ways.
Is first base the biggest question mark for the Boston Red Sox going into the 2026 season?
Yeah, I think Trevor Story's here next year. I mean, I think I don't watch him, Mark, but what about Bregman? I mean, he's likely going to opt out, so they're going to have to get this contract done, and it's not going to be cheap. So, but he's earned it, and I think if you don't bring Alex Bregman back, that is an awful look for this organization because of how important he's been, not only to the success because of the back of the baseball card and the resume, but what he's doing for this young core of what you're building for the future here. These guys all come out and say, this is the most important baseball player I've ever been around. He's the most important influence I've ever been around to the trajectory of my baseball career. You can't get rid of that. When you have a player coach like that, you have a player who's teaching coaches things at times, which is insane, but he's been around the game long enough. He's a savant when it comes to scouting reports and reading pitchers and understanding the game. That doesn't grow on trees. You have to keep that. You give them a blank check.
Yeah, Trevor Story told Buster Olney on Sunday Night Baseball that Alex Bregman is just a baseball rat. And Breggy reminds me so much of what Dustin Pedroia brought to the Boston Red Sox. Obviously, I'm not comparing the tenure and the legendary status of PD to Alex Bregman, but that's what Bregman was to the Astros. And I think that's what Bregman can become to the Red Sox.
With the game. It's the obsession of wanting to get the most out of yourself and your teammates. That's the comparison. And you can compare that all day. I didn't play with Bregman. I obviously play with PD. But being around Bregman every day, it's the same effect on him.
He's getting the most out of his body, too. They're not massive dudes, but they're getting the most out of their God-given talent, plus their work ethic is off the charts. Speaking of God-given talent and work ethic, let's talk about Aroldis Chapman. I mean, this is a man that is pitching backwards. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the pitch sequence, but it is like Benjamin Button. I mean, he has been dominant. I was just about to say that. You beat me to it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's like he's going backwards in age, but forward in production. What's changed for him, in your opinion, this season versus the last couple of years?
So for anyone who's listening who wants to understand his work ethic because you can't see him at the ballpark every day, just follow him on Instagram. It sounds ridiculous. Every single morning, doesn't matter if he's in Philadelphia, Boston, New York, LA, it doesn't matter. He's got a gym. And every morning at like 9 a.m., he's at a gym, getting his lift in. Because I'm assuming, I haven't talked to him about it, I probably should. I'm assuming he doesn't like to lift that close to game time. So he gets up early and does the full lift at a different gym, not at the stadium. Now he gets to the stadium, he does all his cardio, his body work, soft tissue work, mobility, all that. But this is a 24/7, 365 taking care of his body. Obviously, he's always been physically blessed as far as like tall, strong, lanky, like be able to 5. But to be able to continue to do that at age 37 and have a 1.08 ERA through 55 appearances. He has given up a hit in 13 outings, not a run. That's not a verbal typo. He hasn't given up a hit in 13 outings, which is a complete joke. That just doesn't happen. By the way, 71 strikeouts to just 14 walks. The issue with Chapman through the years is never the lack of stuff. It's always great stuff. It's can he throw strikes? So many times has he run into problems because he walks the house and he can't throw. His walk rate is a career low by far. It is down at the like top percentiles of the game for relief pitchers in general. So 55 appearances, he's coming up on 60 innings and just 14 walks. With that arm swing, with that stuff, it's unreal. You just have no chance right now. No one has a chance.
Based on longevity, what he's doing, stuff, all the things, is Aroldis Chapman a Hall of Famer?
Yeah. He is. And not right this moment, but seeing what he's doing at this age and seeing the work he puts in, he's going to pitch another 5 years and he's going to accumulate so many. I mean, we're looking at at least 20 plus saves a year for the next 5 years. You throw another 100 saves on there. I mean, this is a real thing.
He'll be 42 and in better shape than most 22
years. It's
no doubt.
He could 5 and still be good because of his extension, because the way ball comes out, and now he's really developed his slider and his split. So he doesn't just live on the fastball anymore. He has 3 legit pitches, and you never know which night. I've seen him this year throw 5 off-speed pitches in a row and then throw 102. Like, he's a complete pitcher right now, and it's fun to watch, fun to see it.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think? I mean, because a lot of guys don't know how to reinvent themselves in the game. And he seems to be able to have done that. And not only has he reinvented himself, he's using all of the off speed stuff effectively. Like, not all guys are coachable and teachable.
He's very, very smart. And he realizes the game has evolved. And the game has evolved in a way of velocity, the average velocity being much higher. So hitters aren't scared or caught off guard by 100 miles an hour anymore. You see it almost every. All right, so he knows he has to pitch now. He can't just throw. And I think that mentality also with the change mechanics over the last couple of years, saw a little change when he was in Pittsburgh briefly, getting into his backside more and working with his command. I think the mind frame of, hey, I have to pitch now instead of just throw has honed in his command. And I think that's been the biggest change. Obviously, we talk about the lack of walks and the amount of strikes he throws where hitters have to – you can't go up there and just wait him out anymore. Used to be it's like, I know I can't hit his stuff, so I'm just going to take the 4 before 3 method and just let him walk me.
Right.
You can't do that anymore. He will throw 3 strikes in a row now. It doesn't happen. So I think just his mind frame change of I have to pitch, everybody throws hard. I'm not going to scare anybody with 101 anymore. I have to throw sliders and splits to put that in the back of your mind so my 100 plays way up again.
I mean, a lot of people make such a big deal out of the fact that he's 37, but he's not pitching that way. I mean, do you ride him as long as you can?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm bringing him back next year.
Yeah.
I'm fine. That's another guy where I'm saying we got to re-sign this guy because he is showing 0 signs of slowing down. And this is a long season. And at this point, normally you see velo tick down. He's still throwing 99, 100 miles an hour with movement. And I think everyone in this organization sees the work ethic. They see the work he puts in, and they know at this rate, like no slowing him down the next few years, which is crazy.
Yeah, no question. It's awesome to see. The Red Sox have gone from below 500 to leading the wild card race, largely in part, Will Middlebrooks, to what Aroldis Chapman has done. Much more to come on 310 to Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. Coming up next, we are talking the AL Cy Young race. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to 310 to Left. It is time now to speak of the Cy Young race in this American League. Alanna, Rizzo, Will Middlebrooks with you. Let's talk about Garrett Crochet. This guy has been every single thing the Red Sox could have ever hoped for. But he's tailed off in terms of, the lead in a couple of really important categories. What case in your mind, Will, does Garrett Crochet still have for the Cy Young in the American League now that Tarik Skubal is leading the league in several of those key categories?
Yeah, he's still got a good case. I mean, he's got a few starts left. I mean, the ERA, he's had a couple, we'll say, bad starts where he's given up 4 or 5 runs, but that's in for every pitcher, I think. Even Skubal, the Red Sox scored 5 off Skubal. Let's not forget that. He has a couple starts in there. He just gave up a grand slam a couple of days ago. He is human.
Send him down. Send him down.
Slightly human. But I think, the last bad outing that Crochet had against Houston, 4 innings, gave up 5 runs. That really hurt the ERA. It went from 2.2 to about 2.5 after that, which that's a big in the rankings. It's now back down to 2.38 after a couple good starts. Skubal's at 2.28, so they're really close. If he gives up a couple runs and Crochet doesn't his next one, they're probably about the same. I think the issue lies that Skubal will likely get a lot of first place votes because of what he did last year. And I think that's so fresh on so many voters' minds of he had one of the most dominant starting pitcher seasons of all time. He was just the 22nd guy ever to have win the Triple Crown as a pitcher. He got all 30 first place votes, which is unanimous. And I just think that works against Crochet just because that's so fresh in the mind of all, where they know it's last year, but it also bleeds into their thought process and the way they see him this season.
Yeah, so there's some carryover. What about the fact that the Detroit Tigers are in first in the American League Central? So they're division leaders with Tarik Skubal at the helm, and the Red Sox are in a wild card race. Does that play into it at all?
I don't think so. If that's the case, they should look at the strength of the division, right? And if you want to do that, you want to compare, okay, well, look what the Blue Jays are doing right now. So it's I don't think that matters. It shouldn't matter. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it shouldn't. But you don't want to get me going on voters for Hall of Fame, for awards, you don't want to get me going on that, because it's never the players, it's never guys who play the game making these votes. It's writers, and I don't want to start a war with the writers. Okay, but I don't always agree with how all that goes.
Okay, let me ask you this though, because Crochet's nearly tied with Skubal in strikeouts and innings pitched, does that keep him in the conversation even with a higher ERA and WHIP? Like, what is the deciding factor in addition to what you just said about what he did last year? Is there something else that pushes one over the other?
I think their last couple starts are always the most important, because that's what's freshest in their mind, right? And if, let's say, the Red Sox are, 3 or 4 games towards the end of the season, and he spends a 7 or 8 inning gym, no runs, couple hits, and that game maybe pushes them into first place or secures them a playoff spot. Maybe that is something. It's always the last couple. It's always recency bias. Like, what happened most recently that's in the back of my mind. That is what matters the most to the voters, because that's what's fresh.
Yeah. What have you done for me lately, Will Middlebrooks? I mean, if he keeps this current pace in terms of going deep into games, giving a quality start, all of the things, should voters consider Crochet's transition from reliever to full-time starter when comparing him to a more established pitcher like Tarik Skubal? I mean, Skubal's always been a starter, right? So Crochet kind of has transitioned from the pen to a starter role. Does that matter?
I'd like to tell myself that they take all that into account. And you look at the Red Sox, who's such a big market team, and the expectations are always so high, and they haven't been to the postseason since 2021. I'd like to think they take that into consideration too. And Detroit's did what they did last year in the postseason, and Skubal did what he did last year. I get it, and I'd like to say they take that into consideration, but a lot of times it comes down to overall stats, because they have to be able to back up their vote. And say, well, why did you vote for this guy? X, Y, Z happened. I get that. But he strikeouts. He leads them in innings. He leads them in wins. Who knows if wins actually matter anymore? I don't think they do. But it does when you're looking at like a Triple Crown award. But there's also guys like Hunter Brown who are going to get votes. I think Crochet is going to get a good amount of first place votes. Unless something happens over the next 3 starts with Skubal, 4 starts, and Crochet just absolutely dominates. I'd be surprised if Skubal doesn't win it, but get first place votes.
Honestly, even if Garrett Crochet doesn't even come in the top 10, which I know that he will, obviously, I do believe he'll come in second behind Tarik Skubal. This is a massive win for the Red Sox. Having this dude in your rotation is a win. I mean, the Red Sox are not where they are without him, and the future looks really bright considering they extended him.
Well, yeah, you extended him, and then you kept him healthy, and really his second season ever as a starting pitcher, right? He missed all the time with injury. He was a reliever when he can see, excuse me, and then you kept him healthy, which that's a great sign that, okay, you weren't wrong by this, because you make that signing, it seemed risky at the time, not because of the stuff, not because of the stature and the person and the work ethic, but because he had never done it before. And that matters in this league at this level. Is there going to be consistency? Are you going to be able to give 150 plus innings every year? It was an unknown, and that's a scary thing when you're throwing out that type of money. But I think they look at the body of work and they look at the human being and say, all right, this makes a lot of sense. And I still think this is going to end up being a steal of a contract by the end of it.
Oh, I do too. And talk about the human being element a little bit more. You just brought that up. I love the way that he's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. On the mound, he's going to shove it right down your throat. When he is not pitching, he's like, doo-doo-doo. He's just like happy-go-lucky, having a great time in the clubhouse, having a great time in the dugout. I love that flip of a switch personality for him.
Yeah, he's a fun teammate, and you can see the guys gravitate to him, not just because he's an ace. A lot of times people gravitate to the star players. I get that. They have that aura about them. I get it. But this is more of like, he's just like a good friend. He's like one of their buddies. He's goofy. He's like a big teddy bear. And then, game day, it's like, boom, beast is here. Don't mess with me. And I don't think it's like a don't talk to me type team. Like a lot of starting pitchers used to be like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, stay away from me. I don't think that's the case. I think he clicks into beast mode, and it's just like, get off the tracks when the train's coming through. Because it is crazy when he goes out there on the mound, because it's like a completely different person. But then to your point, you see him like in the home run celebrations in the dugout, right? By the way, don't let your children watch that yet. It's
Yeah,
a little.
no.
It's a little.
No.
He kind of left Wong out to dry yesterday on one. We could go back and replay that. That was pretty funny. But these guys have fun, and that's part of the winning culture here. Excited to come to the field. They love each other. They play for each other. They love the coaching staff, and that's how you win a lot of baseball games.
But what about the development, too, of Brian Bayo and Lucas Giolito? Not that Giolito needed the development. Giolito needed to get healthy and get back to what he was. Brian Bayo has really, really developed into a nice starting pitcher. The three of them together, that three-headed monster, and they feed off of one another, that's got to be something special, too. Will, speak to that dynamic of this team.
Well, there's a competition created between them. They don't want to be the one in the top three of that rotation that goes out and has a dud, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go out and most of the time you hear pitchers say, I want to make a quality start. I want to give you 6 innings, give up 2 runs. Not these guys. They want to go 7 shutty, and they all want to be the ace, which is great because you have to have 3 good starting pitchers in the postseason. You have to. You've seen it even when teams have 2 good starting pitchers. They still don't have enough. Having that third guy you can rely on, so then you can put your 4th, 5th guys, if possible, in the bullpen and have those. Because like we talked about it earlier, they deploy the bullpen so much earlier in the postseason now. And if you're able to push guys back into the bullpen and have them come out in important spots like a Dustin May, that's going to be important.
Let's talk about the bullpen really quick, just in the postseason, not necessarily the Boston Red Sox one, but now the game becomes so much shorter, Will Middlebrooks, in the postseason because you do get to the pens faster in the way that this game is being played. AL picture, who's the one bullpen you do not want to face in the first round if you're the Red Sox?
Oh, man. Well, call me crazy. Actually, don't. I know you will. New York's bullpen is actually really good. I think they had a tough start after the trade deadline, but the guys they added, I think they're Bednar's hit or miss. Doval, I'm not exactly sure on, but he has good stuff. Devin Williams looked good his last couple times out, and I don't know if he's starting to figure them. I mean, he's had an awful year. Don't get me wrong. You got me thinking now. I don't want to go to Seattle mainly because of travel, but their bullpen's also. Their bullpen, their whole pitching style. I'll go Seattle. Go Seattle.
Seattle's a very complete team this year.
New York was recent on my mind, so I was thinking about them a lot. Seattle is tough not only because of the schedule, but because they do have some flamethrowers. Not just their bullpen, their starting pitchers are absurd. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a really tough team. So it just makes it more important for you to get that top wild card spot if you don't win the division, just so you can host a game at your stadium, which matters at Fenway.
All right, you told me not to call you crazy. Will you call me crazy if I still maintain on August 27th, when we're doing this right now, that the Yankees don't make the postseason?
They've won 3 straight.
So
at this point,
30 games left there.
I think they're extremely flawed. I think they're extremely flawed in a couple of the most important aspects of your team. Team defense and starting pitching has been a really – and Don and Fried are really good. After that, it's like, what do you have? What do you have, right? And the bullpen's been shaky. They're going to score runs. That's the thing with the Yankees. They're going to score runs. They can kind of out-bop you. And when they hit home runs, they're really hard to beat. I don't know. I think they get in. I don't think Kansas City's better than them.
I don't think they're better than them. I don't think Kansas City goes deep into the postseason. I think the Yankees missed the postseason. I just think they don't play good fundamental baseball. I just don't.
No, they don't.
They're fundamentally
last year either, and they got to the World Series.
And they lost Game 5 because of it. Bye-bye.
I get it. I'm saying they can still get there with bad fundamental baseball. Just because of the style of baseball that's played in today's game, you can win a lot of games just hitting and bopping and throwing gas. Yeah. And I get that. But when the important games get here, those games which you saw defense and making things matter, you're not going to win them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's always a fun conversation. I just like to piss people off saying that the Yankees aren't going to get into the postseason. All right, much more to come on 3:10 to left. We're going to wrap things up after the break, talking a little bit about Red Sox trade deadline what-ifs on 3:10 to left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. We'll be right back.
310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford dealers who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
All right, we welcome you back to 310 to Left. We're talking a little bit about shoulda, coulda, woulda. We'll talk about the Red Sox trade deadline what-ifs. We're almost a month removed, Will Middlebrooks, from that 2025 trade deadline. So let's take a look back at some of the names that were linked to Boston at the time. Miami Marlins starter Sandy Alcantara. Having him in the Red Sox rotation with injuries to Tanner Houck and Cutter Crawford, what do you think that impact would have been like?
Yeah, I think that would have been a huge ad. I think they felt like a big risk at the time because his numbers were awful, right? And they thought that maybe he was tipping pitches, maybe it was a command issue, and then he came into look like the old Cy Young Sandy that we had seen a few years ago. So many guys just don't bounce back well from Tommy John, and I feel like he's been a perfect candidate that fits that, where he just has not been the same guy. The stuff's great, but he has no idea where the ball is going. And even when he pitched well against the Red Sox, he was missing spots, and we just weren't hitting him. That's just how good his stuff is. And if he's in the zone, he can be good. I think he would have been a great ad. I think I would have taken that over Dustin May. I just think he would have given you a little more production. And like I said, the stuff is a little higher, so your room for error is bigger.
All right, Arizona Diamondbacks, Zach Gallen. Would he have been a stabilizing force in that Red Sox starting rotation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's already pretty stable, but if you were able to add him to the mix of Giolito, Bayo, Crochet, I think anyone who is an above-average pitcher in baseball and you look at them as a number 4 in your rotation, of course. I think any of those guys you take. The issue is, what would that have taken away from your lineup had you had to give up an Abreu or a Duran or one of your top pitching prospects, which you don't have that many in your system, so you don't want to have to give those guys up.
Isn't it funny how hindsight's always 20/20? It's so easy for us to sit here and pontificate like, oh, it would have been so easy, so much better, blah, blah, blah. We're not in those rooms. We don't know what Craig Breslow's going through with all of this stuff. Okay, it's so easy for Will and I to be front office folks. Do you think Seth Lugo or Taj Bradley would have been a better, more affordable rotation option compared to some of the internal options, Will?
Oh, geez. Alanna, I don't know. We're getting so deep into this, like I don't care. But,
right. No, it's fair. That's fair.
We dig so deep into like what ifs, just like I mean, Taj Bradley obviously being that young, yeah, like you love controllable talent. You love controllable guys who are pre-arb, where you can basically have them under control for 3-4 more years. Of course. Yeah, sure. I just don't think you're going to get in division. You're laughing at me. You're not going to get in division. You're not going to get in division trades like that unless you overpay. Right. That's the thing. It's like, if you want those guys, you have to give up so much for a division rival to give it to you. At that point, I say it's not worth it.
I just love your honesty. I don't care either. Like, what's the point of this conversation that we're having? Because it's like, we now have our 26-man roster. Obviously, it's going to take more than the 26 men. It's going to take the 40. But this is who we're dealing with now with 30 days left in this. So it's like, I can appreciate.
It's like talk radio, right? It's like, I know the team's good, but let's find a way to spin this negative. You know,
well, that's Boston. But let's be honest, though.
Let's be honest. They could finish with 93 wins instead of 92, Alanna.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's that one. I mean, sometimes that one game does make a difference, but not this year for the Boston Red Sox. But yeah, that's New England. That's the Northeast. I've learned that. My husband listens to talk radio all the time, and God help you if you're the New England Patriots in this town, because no matter what you do, it is wrong. All right. What?
Hold on. New England Patriots. This was driving me crazy. I'm going to throw this out there real quick. This Boston Red Sox team is back. They're in a pennant race right now. And you go to every radio show, and the first thing on there is preseason football.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
The Sox are back. Can we
I know.
not lead the show with that? Okay, I'm done.
No, I know. That's the problem. That's ESPN. That's the thing. Football rules.
I get it.
The Red Sox are back and Fenway is alive. Pay attention, people, because there's not going to be tickets for the postseason for all you people that didn't care up until that point. All right, last question. Yeah, I don't have any tickets. Don't ask me. All right, which bullpen arm would have made the biggest impact if Boston had added one before this question I do like, because I think it is important that impact bullpen arm is important.
All right, so the most important setup man to a team, if you already have a closer, is a second closer. Mason Miller was on the move. He went to San Diego. San Diego might have had the best bullpen in the league before that, and then they got even better. They basically have 4 closers on that team. And then Duran. I mean, why would you? I mean, he was on the table from the Twins. That's not an in-division rival. I feel like you were going to have to give up a lot. They're asking a lot for those guys. They did get a lot for those guys. Or even like a Griffin Jacks over there in Minnesota on my radar, just because his stuff is so good. I talked to Bregman about him, and Bregman saying he's one of the more comfortable at bats in baseball. And if Bregman says that, I want him in my uniform. So I think you're in a good spot with the back end of this bullpen. You're also in a good spot because you're saying, all right, one of our acquisitions in August is going to be Justin Slayton. So you get to add him back. But I would always take a second closer. If you go 8th, because then your guy doesn't have to throw every night. That's the thing. And he's more fresh.
Yeah, and then Justin Slayton, obviously, the Red Sox are the only team that could add him, so that's a good thing for them. But I tell you what, were you surprised? I understand he's coming from Oakland, and Oakland's not really a major league team. But were you surprised that Mason Miller was moved?
It's Oaklamento, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a controllable arm. I think that's a really dumb move to move him.
Of course.
Unless I didn't hear you. What did you say?
No, I said, of course, you're right. Like, I'm surprised. I mean, you have one. It's like the one good thing.
I'm on hotel Wi-Fi right now. Forgive me, it cut out. But yeah, it's dumb. If you are rebuilding and you have young players and they're controllable and you don't want to have expensive players, but you don't want to pay him ARB money. Like, he's not even the ARB yet. I think he's entering it maybe next year. I don't get that. You have guys to build around. If you eventually want your team to be something, those are the guys you have to keep.
I agree. San Diego did have the best bullpen in the game, and it did get much better with the addition to Mason Miller. You got to get to their starters early, but you don't want to get into that bullpen either. So they're going to be a tough team, Will Middlebrooks, whether they win the division or not. All right, guys, we appreciate you being here. 310 to Left is brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Take care.